Hi everyone, this is Ronnie from YouTube. Well, I've been involved in a very long Facebook argument, discussion, debate with Don Bennett and a few other people who've jumped in now and again. And I've already made some videos about what I disagree about with Don Bennett, but we had a long running conversation about soil fertility, the decline of the soil, and how it relates to the decline of nutrition in food. And my argument is that there is very little science, very little anything to prove the idea that the nutrition in food has declined, and that the connection, the idea that the soil has declined, is another thing that we don't have a lot of information about or science to prove, and that definitely the link between the two hasn't been proved. One of Don Bennett's main speech topics is like the raw vegan, how you can't do a raw vegan diet because the food doesn't have enough nutrition in it anymore. You would think that he was anti the raw vegan diet. He's actually not. He promotes it, but he believes that people fail to do it because of there's a lack of nutrition in the fruits and vegetables. That's not why people fail to do the raw vegan diet. That's never the reason. Never, ever, 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 never, never once, not ever, not ever, not ever. Never has anyone failed on the diet because there wasn't enough nutrition in the food. People fail on this diet because of their own arrogance, of thinking they know how to do it, of not taking advice from people that know how to do it, of not being able to deal with their addictions, cravings, habits, not being able to deal with their own bullshit, and not wanting to do it, not really having a big enough reason to do it, not desiring to do it, maybe not having the awareness to feel the difference with eating cooked food in your body than eating raw food in your body. To be it's a big difference, maybe to other people it's not a big difference. So maybe different levels of awareness or whatever. But people want to go out and eat pizza with their friends, right? That's really what it comes down to. And for us to try and claim that people fail in a raw food diet because there's no nutrition in the food is wrong and a bit silly, I would say. Now, the fact that we don't have any science to prove any of that the fruits and vegetables have less nutrition now than it ever did, that the soil... Now, pause a second, because some of you are going to say, no, I've heard that. You're going to go on Google for the first time ever. You're going to research this topic for the first time ever, and you're going to find a bunch of articles. Some of them sound quite persuasive. Scientific American. There's another one, some other scientific looking place. Well, these aren't scientific studies. These are articles by journalists written for particular reasons, particular agendas, and they were paid to do that. If you actually look at the studies they cite do not say the things in the articles. So I've looked into this a little bit more than most people have because I have an interest in it, and I've realised there's just not a lot of science here to prove this idea that the nutrition in the food has went down. There's also experts showing why those studies aren't correct, or the information isn't very accurate, or there's problems with those studies. So we would really need to look into it more before we make any claims. But if we really think of it in the bigger picture, what's the chances that the food now is worse than then? What's the chances that farmers have got worse? What's the chances that our ability to look after the soil and look after land is worse now than it was then? It's unlikely. We're better at everything than we were 50, 60 years ago. So the idea that there was this pristine land 50, 60 years ago and it's all disappeared is just not right. Just travel around your own country, go to fruit farms, go to places like that, speak to people. Do you see evil farmers trying to destroy their soil and all that? No, it's silly. And the idea that it's worldwide, because we eat food from all over the world now, the idea that this happens all over the world, and all over the world the nutrition's disappeared, it's so silly. And the reason that people buy into it is a conspiracy theory idea. It's been pumped out there so many times. This is the other thing that makes me realise it's not true. It's just a conspiracy theory that goes back to 50, 60, maybe even 100 years ago, by a supplement industry, by people selling supplements, superfoods. These are products with a very high markup that companies are able to make a good profit on, that even individuals can set up their own supplement company and make a good profit on it, and many people do. And there's whole marketing seminars about how to start your own supplement industry, how to start your own supplement business and become a millionaire and all that stuff. And the sales pitch is the nutrition. You can't trust that the fruits and vegetables have the nutrition you need, so you need to supplement. And that has been the sales pitch for probably 100 years. It works, still works today. People are so disconnected from the food supply. People haven't done any research into this, and it's very easy to persuade people of this. Also, people naturally don't want to eat fruits and vegetables. They would prefer to eat processed foods and supplement than eat fruits and vegetables in many cases, because they're not stimulating to people. So we have all of that going against the notion that it's actually true that fruits and vegetables have declined in nutrition. In reality, they would have increased in nutrition most likely. And even the studies that claim these things, they show that certain nutrients have gone up, certain nutrients have gone down. It's called natural variation. It's in some cases it's called a dilution effect, or it's called different cultivars, different ripeness, different weather for that year could have all affected the nutrient uptake in different ways, and wouldn't necessarily have anything to do with the quality of the soil. So that's not clear scientifically. The idea that raw vegans are struggling because of lack of nutrition in the soil, of course that's not been proven. And then the idea that taking the Green Boost supplement that Don recommends would cure all that, of course hasn't been proven. Daily Green Boost, I made a video about them. The guy who runs it got in touch with me. He took some stuff down from the website, from their website, and I don't think he's 100% likes the idea that people go out there and say, hey, this is Daily Green Boost and you can use this to cure deficiencies. I don't think he likes that. I don't think that because he probably knows that that's troublesome area for companies to get into, especially if they can't prove it, And clearly there's been no testing on that particular product, but there's been not really any testing I can't find on any green powder suggesting that green powders like that can help with balancing out nutritional deficiencies. So it's very hard to find any science backing this. Now, the only reason I got into this whole discussion with Don Bennett, the only reason is over the years, I'm sure that I've heard him talk about how he is the guy with the science, and other people are ignoring the science, and people aren't listening to the science, and he's got the science. And he's even used words like hard science. The hard science says this. All I've done is I'm saying, Don, here's what I'm finding. Here's what I've found when I'm looking for the science. None of it suggests what you're saying. Could you show me the science? What is the science you're using as a researcher? Because he always tells people, be a researcher, not a learner or whatever. Could you please tell me the science? Show it. The links, the sources, the things that you read. And some people have said, well, what would you suggest for the science? I said, well, how about it's written up in a textbook? And they kind of all laughed, saying, well, that's impossible. How can we find a text? Well, if it's not in a textbook, it's not been confirmed. And if nutrition in the soil had went down over the years, that would be known worldwide. We'd understand that. We'd have been doing things about it. It's not that difficult a thing to fix. So I just find it weird. But what I found out was that Don was telling me, I have showed you the science. And I'm trying to find it. I'm like, where is it, Don? Can you post it again? I can't find it. I asked him 4 times, 5 times, 6 times, can you give me the science? Where is it? Where is the stuff you're using? And they were bringing up as well this thing like, well, you don't need the science to prove a raw vegan diet. Yeah, but I never say to anyone that I've got the science to prove the raw vegan diet is the best diet. I'm not making a scientific argument for that. I think we can actually make a fairly good scientific argument that a healthy diet, mainstream science says a healthy diet is full of fruits and vegetables, high in carbohydrates, low in saturated fat, low in salt, low in salt and sugar, processed sugar. And the raw vegan diet fits into that more than a standard diet. Also, mainstream science is now saying that a vegan diet is fine for human health. So all we really have to prove is that raw foods can replace cooked vegan foods. That's the only small area we have to really prove, and then we've got a pretty solid argument that it is a scientifically backed diet. Although we've not got any individual studies on people on the diet that many. So what I realized was that eventually, after I've been asked Don a bunch of times, is what he meant was his own science, was his own results that he'd got with his clients. And what Don is saying is that he's had hundreds of people coming to him over the years who have been struggling on a raw vegan diet with some symptom or other of deficiency. He's recommended them to do various supplementation and take the Daily Green Boost thing, and their different symptoms have went away. And that for him is enough of a pattern to show scientifically that this is empirical scientific evidence that all of that chain of ideas of his are accurate. And firstly, I don't think it's very much open to interpretation. It's very much open to bias. There's obviously the placebo effect, which has fooled many great researchers, and Don seems to claim it wouldn't fool him or whatever. We've got his own biases. We've got the fact that his patients, his clients, may have just lied to him a whole number of times. They could have just lied to him, or been, because what I was saying to Don, well, because he's not actually presented that to us in any kind of way that we can look at. There's no measurement. There's no so he's saying he's got the science, but he's just saying basically take my my word for it. And he said, can you show me any information to counteract? And I said, well, I know raw vegans who don't supplement. Take my word for it. Yeah, but they might not be healthy. Well, your clients might not be healthy. If it's just like there's no weight to your evidence, Don, that's more weight than mine. There's no weight. So it really comes down to the fact that he has his belief that his clients and what's happened to them is science, empirical evidence, empirical science, and what have you. I don't believe that to be true. I think there's many errors that could have come into place, many inaccuracies. I don't know how he measured their level of health before and after. I don't know what his clients were actually eating before and after. They might not have even been raw vegan. They might not have been 100% raw vegan. And the only people that I know 100% that went to Don, Megan Elizabeth is the most famous one. She's no longer vegan. She eats meat now. For years she was taking a whole barrel full of different supplements. Nothing was working for her. She was stressed and all that. She's a kind of hypochondriac. Nothing bad about that. She's a great person, but she's a kind of a hypochondriac with her health. And it doesn't help when you go to someone that says, yeah, you're probably deficient because of the food and the soil and the farmers and the bad people and all this, selling you like a conspiracy theory nonsense line and getting you even more hypochondriac about it. So she's no longer vegan. So I'm not sure how Don really helped her stay raw or go raw, So I'm not sure if Don's taken into account all these people that have failed on his advice. I think Victoria Arnstein, maybe Mike Arnstein, worked with Don, not vegan, not raw vegan. Mike maybe is raw vegan, but Victoria isn't. So not a great success there. Alicia, the chef from Woodstock, I think she did some work with Don. She's not a raw vegan. She's very aspiring raw vegan, has done it at times, but she's not raw 100% most of the time. So I'm not seeing the success there in terms of helping people stay raw vegan by getting them to supplement. There was Tasha, who just became a hypochondriac for supplementation once again. And there was, so I see these different people, and I'm like, If Don's got hundreds of successes, they must be like all the other people. It must be all the other people. So all I want, and all I would suggest, and maybe you could message Don, is just say to him, Don, please, if you're going to present this information, please let us all know it is your opinion. Please don't say you have the science. This isn't science. This is, you know, it's an insult to your audience to say that. And the point is that Don really wants to be seen as like the number one kind of researcher in the raw vegan movement, the most trusted person, the most scientific person, the most rational person. And in many ways he is, but he's jumping the gun here, trying to prove something that we're not able to prove yet. Maybe he's right on it, but we're not able to prove it. And the fact that I've seen so many raw vegans that don't do the daily green boost and don't do a lot of supplementation would suggest this isn't a major issue. And he would say, well, we don't know if they're healthy. Yeah, you're right, Don. We don't know if they're healthy. We don't know if they'll die young. We don't know if they'll develop a disease. But we also don't know that about Don's clients. So we just don't know at all. So that's my kind of my approach to that. A lot of my friends have jumped in. They're saying like they really think that this thing about the soil being depleted and the nutrients to the food going down, they all believe this to be true. I just want some evidence. Like, just if it's really true, it'll be in textbooks. It'll be in all over the place. They'll be trying to work out why is this happening. How do we stop it from happening? But it's just not true. Like, it's just not there. There is, as I say, you will find some articles. If you believe that idea, you will find articles. You'll find websites that back up that idea. You'll find various environmental organisations, organic food organisations that back up that idea. But it doesn't have science behind it. And then you might say, yeah, but the science has been blocked, and like you'll just turn it into a conspiracy thing. No, like it's just not there. Just like the organic food movement, there's not really anything to suggest that, or like there's not a lot of evidence around that either. It's just a nice idea that everyone likes. So this has been a long video, but thanks for listening. Go and check out the Love Fruit podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or Stitcher if you want to hear more of my interviews with raw vegans. If you want to learn more about Fruitfest 2020, go to fruitfest.co.uk/registration. If you want to support this channel, the Fruitfest, whatever, you can buy a t-shirt, fruitfest.co.uk/shop. And please feel free to subscribe, share, like, comment. Maybe I need to make videos a bit more simpler, beginners topics, because I think I'm going too far with all these things. But, thanks for spending some time with me today. And I hope that you can find your way into a really happy, healthy, raw food life. So thank you.